Hey everybody, Dreamroom64 here, and in today's video, my second video, I want to give you a tour of my home office. So it's not something people typically follow up a game room tour with, but yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because I think my office is pretty neat. Definitely not as nice as the game room. This is not a complete room. I still have a lot of work to do on it, but it's pretty far along, so I think it's worth showing off and sharing some of my thoughts of how it's going. But this is primarily where I work from home. I wanted to have a separate desk so I'm not just using the same desk for entertainment and work. It's kind of nice to keep those spaces separate if possible. So I didn't always have that luxury. I used to have just a shared desk and I used switches to switch everything around. But I'm enjoying having this separation here. But nonetheless, I did make some room in the room for a retro gaming setup, some old stuff here, old speakers, 1980 speakers, and 1985 Trinitron. And it's pretty different than the setups I have in the game room. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's just work our way around the room and I'll give you a pretty quick tour. So over here you can see I have two shelves side by side. These are retired from the game room. They got moved out of there once I got the arcade game. And then I built that shelf into the back wall of my kind of closet. So I no longer needed them down there and no longer really had space for them. So I moved them up here, and these are homemade shelves. So I designed them and my dad built them for me. It was before I had access to the kind of equipment that you need the kind of woodworking equipment and space you need to build this stuff. But it is a pretty nice design, if I do say so. So at the back there's a little 1/4-inch lip, and you can push any kind of physical media back and it won't slip off. So it's made just the right depth for a shelf. But I do have a bit of a problem with it, and that's that CDs aren't really optimally fitting on there. So I designed it for use with Blu-rays and DVD size cases. So it fits lots of different types of more recent video games well, and Blu-rays very well, but not so much CDs. I'm not making the best use of my space here. So my plan right now is to maybe use the space above here, and I could make something out of wood, like a shelf that's about the height of a CD, maybe two shelves. So think of like a long rectangle up here. And I could move my CD collection from this shelf up to there. And that would give me more room. And the reason I really want more room is because the Blu-ray shelf it's filled up. There's really not much room here. I do have a backlog of stuff here at the bottom. These are things I haven't watched yet, and I'll end up getting rid of a lot of those as I watch them, because I only want to keep things I like. And I buy just things that I haven't even seen yet because it's so cheap these days. You can get Blu-rays for about $1 to $3 each. CDs are like 50 cents to generally $2 each. It's so cheap. Nobody cares about this stuff, but they're great formats. Blu-ray is awesome in terms of video quality and amazing in terms of sound quality. So, and they also look good on the shelf. I take the slip covers off. A lot of people are really, at least they used to be, they were really into the slip covers. And this is a controversial opinion here, but I think they look so much better with the slip covers off. It makes them look way more consistent. And it's really fun to come up here and pick a movie, and then I take it down to the game room and I watch it. It's kind of neat, even though they're not in the same room. It's fun. I come up here and just, what do I want to watch today? Pull it off the shelf and bring it downstairs. So it's kind of cool to have that separation there. Now CDs I can listen to in this same room. I have a pretty cool CD player in here and some good speakers. But yeah, CDs, they're underappreciated. And the nice thing about CDs is when you buy them used in a beat up case, you can just swap the jewel case and make it look like new. So, and it's also a very hardy format. When they're scratched, they generally play fine. So I kind of like them. They're not as fun as a record, like with the tactile experience, but it's a good physical media format. Here you can see I have some iPod minis. I really like the iPod mini. I bought these original iPod mini docks. They're official from Apple. They make great little display stands. What else? Okay, let's move on over to the desk. So here's my desk in the home office. Pretty similar story to the desk in the basement. It's made out of a kitchen countertop. At least that's how it's marketed. 6 feet long. I think it's 25 inches deep. And it's about 1.5 inches thick. So it's a really premium feeling slab of wood. This will last me a lifetime. So in my opinion, it's worth building a desk like this instead of just buying a throwaway piece of furniture, because I can get a whole lifetime's worth of use out of this. It's not gonna go to a landfill ever. And then what I did for the legs, it's just mounted on, some camera distortion might not make it clear, but these are just squarish legs, straight up and down, and it's mounted on there. A little subwoofer down there with a real plant, a couple lamps. So yeah, this is the room I work from home in, and up here are, well, they're windows. So nothing exciting about that, but I want to point out that I put the windows facing the desk because you get much better lighting, and it's more pleasant to face light while you're sitting at your desk. It gives your webcam view, so for anybody on a call with you, it gives them a much better, more pleasing lighting than looking at somebody in a dark cave. So big improvement there over some setups I see. And have a microphone here. Now the microphone is overkill for Microsoft Teams calls. It's way higher quality than you need because Teams just crushes the audio quality. And like I said, it's a work from home desk, so I don't have a gaming keyboard here. I actually really like typing on this super low profile Apple keyboard. I think they are very good. Not for gaming, but it's very, very good as a typing experience. Here's the same kind of chair I have in the basement. This is the first one I ever got. Got it for 30 bucks at a thrift shop. I think a college student probably donated it and they had to go back home. Very good one. It was originally blue and then I dyed it black. It actually worked. You can still see a little bit of the blue in there, but I got the color almost to black. Speakers on the desk. They're not optimally placed in terms of height, but they look pretty good. They're slightly tilted up. I had the same kind of amplifier, little tiny amplifier that I have for the basement setups, a couple of the basement setups. All right, so that covers the desk. Let's move on over here. So over here, I've got two display cabinets. The first one I bought it to put my camera gear in. It's kind of tricky to figure out where to put camera gear. It was hard to figure that out. And then I realized, you know what, this display cabinet from IKEA works very well for it. You can see lenses all fit in there, and I use little plastic shelves there as risers so that I can sort of give them a tiered look here. And you know, here's a lens that's cool. I think it's from the 1960s. I got it from a flea market, about 10 bucks. Got a good deal on it. And it's just fun to use these old lenses. You can put them onto a modern camera and just use that digital technology mixed with this old glass, and it's kind of like retro gaming in that you can combine new stuff and old stuff and get a really cool experience. Yeah, so that's these shelves. The only thing, these are completely stock from IKEA, except I changed the pull knob. That's all I changed. They don't have lights in them or anything, but that's okay with me. Let's see here. Over here is the retro gaming setup. So I have these speakers from 1985, or I think they're from 1985. They're from the mid-80s. The TV is definitely from 1985. It has a tag on the back. That's a Sony Trinitron 13-inch. It has simulated walnut wood grain on the side, just like the speakers. And this is a cool little setup. So let me just show you. First I'll show you the side with the records, and then I'll show you the other side of the shelf with the consoles. Before we go down there, let's just talk about this up here. So this is the same kind of oak shelving, that floating shelving that I made myself and use in the basement to put a bunch of games on the wall. So you can see here, I just have it screwed into the wall with some pocket holes, and it's very stable. And the stuff on here is just held on by gravity. It never falls off. It could fall off if there was a, whoa. Woo. I don't usually use one hand there to handle records and laser discs, but yeah, never had any accidents except for that. All right, over here, let's go down here. This is what I was gonna do next. So yeah, there's an amplifier. It's Kenwood 1972 amplifier. I really, really like these things. They're so good. And I did a little bit of maintenance to it. It was filthy when I got it. I cleaned it up, took it apart. I changed out a few of the capacitors, and I had to clean up the potentiometers with some deoxit. They were scratchy, but now this thing is great. I've had it for many years. All right, down here. some records. So what you'll notice is that this is actually raised up. The actual bottom of this is right here. But what I wanted to put records in here, and what I realized is, hey, they look a lot better if they're raised up so that you can see the whole spine through the window here. And the solution was really easy. I just took the shelf that came with it, which would normally have been mounted into one of these 3 holes here, took that shelf and just dropped it down, used gravity to hold it in place, and I put a piece of oak here and then some scrap wood also under here to support the weight. And the result is that I have a really nice little record cabinet. So yeah, there's the records here. I don't really collect records heavily anymore. I got into it back around like 2011, I think. And back then you could find good records at thrift shops, and you can't do that anymore. So that kind of took a lot of the fun out of it. And now you just have to spend a bunch of money. And also sometimes you buy records and the quality is horrible. So it's like you have to research every record you buy on Discogs to make sure that the audio quality is going to be good. Because I do actually listen to these things, and I want the experience to be good. But I've gotten burned many times. But yeah, check it out. It's a pretty cool way to store my records. And at the back, before I close that, I want to mention I plugged open air spaces in here. So if you look over on this side, you see how there's open air. You can see all the wires that I haven't tidied up yet. I plugged that with some scrap plywood that I painted white. And the funny thing was that the plywood I used came from the arcade cabinet for my Step Maniacs machine. So I saved those scraps and I put them to use there. All right, let's move over here. So on this side I have retro consoles, and the perspective when you're standing up, oh, I'm gonna hit my chair, they look pretty good. They look pretty nice. And you do see all the ugly wires for now down low. But yeah, check it out. So up, did you see that? So up here I have some hidden switches. So I used the same strategy as over there. I took advantage of this thickness of this part of the glass door to hide something. And there it is. So there's a mechanical switch box. I'll put that on. Let's turn on Nintendo 64. That's a mechanical switch box. That's just for the audio video. And I like this particular switch box because check out how it looks exactly like a PlayStation 2. You can see Pelican, who the company that made this, they didn't make all the best stuff. This was a pretty cool product. Look at the style. It's spot on for a PlayStation 2. And in my PS2, I have it on the horizontal stand. I see people make fun of this on Reddit sometimes. I'm going to be there to defend it every time. I like the horizontal stand. Yeah, it doesn't do anything, but look at it. It's cool. The vertical stand is functional because it stops your console from tipping over, but this one, it doesn't really do anything, but it's cool. So I was happy to have a spot to put it into place. I had that for a long time. All right, now back on subject. Let me show you how this works. So say I want to play Nintendo 64. I'm going to switch on the Nintendo 64. I'm going to switch on the Kenwood. That's the old amplifier from the 70s. And then here, I'll switch on the TV. Now, you might notice nothing happened, but that's because with this setup, I have a master switch here. So when I hit this switch, everything comes to life. And let me turn the volume up for a second. Yeah, so those speakers are awesome. I mean, you're not going to hear the quality through the little microphone I have now, but they are so cool. But yeah, this TV setup, this is pretty cool because look at the quality. You can't quite capture, I can't quite capture it on my phone, but I think you can get a rough idea here. For some reason, when I hold the camera sideways like this, you can kind of see it. The picture's very vivid. It's very crisp. It's of course not flickering like that in real life. The contrast is better in real life too, but it really looks good for a Nintendo 64. Something about it just works. Yeah, I mean, this was the kind of TV these consoles were made to be played on, and they're all completely stock. I am going to modify the Genesis for better audio quality because that's a Genesis Model 2. Can't really fit a Genesis Model 1 down there, and I want better audio quality than the Genesis Model 2 offers. So yeah, it's a pretty cool setup. And then for seating, I have over here just an IKEA Poang chair. It's another game room retiree. Used to be in my game room. I used to have 2 of these for my primary seating. I like the chair a lot. It's low, it's inexpensive, it's very comfortable, and you can kind of rock back and forth in it a little bit. I do have a footrest ottoman, but I don't have that in here. It clutters the room up a lot when I put that in here because the room's already getting kind of tight. But yeah, it's very comfortable. So this stand is nice and low, just the right height, and the ottoman pairs, or sorry, the Poang chair pairs nicely with it. So yeah, if you want to build a retro setup, this is a pretty good option. Though it is I think $300. I got it for $120 because they were closing out this particular build. They changed something slightly in the manual, and I think that's why they were selling it so cheap when I went, because it was brand new in their as-is section. But yeah, let me just show you one more thing. So let's say we want to switch to SNES. You would just switch the video source, power off the N64, and then power on the SNES. And I keep the power button engaged, and it's ready to go. It starts up right away. There's Super Mario World. So I think this is a pretty cool little setup. I do have one other idea for the space. I do have a plasma TV I could put here, and I could put some 7th gen consoles like Xbox 360 and PS3 here, because plasma TV is really good for playing those, and I don't have room for it anywhere else. But I'm going to try to find out how much do I really use this setup. Am I going to play here a lot now that it's all hooked up? I might, because winter's around the corner. The game room gets a little bit colder in that back corner of the during the winter time. The fireplace is pretty far away. There's heat back there, but it does get a little chilly. So I might find it really comfortable to play in here. We'll have to see. I'll give updates on the room. I'll make more videos. And also I just want to say thanks everybody for subscribing and watching my last video and watching this one too, because I didn't know if the channel would be successful at all, and I was really happy that the YouTube algorithm was kind to me and people were able to see the video, and I was so pleased with all the kind comments that people left. It meant a lot, because I worked so hard on that setup in the basement, and this one I've been working hard on it, and it's a work in progress. I'll give updates. I'll make more follow-up videos about things people requested. So stay tuned, and thanks again for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. All right, bye.